Hey there, and welcome. If you've ever felt like managing your money is just complicated or stressful or maybe just plain boring, then you're in the right place. We're about to cut through all that noise and give you a really simple, powerful system to take control of your finances so you can start living what we call your rich life, like right now. So let's just dive in. So I want to kick things off with a question that gets right to the point. Would you rather be sexy or rich? Now, what's so interesting about this is that in the world of finance, sexy usually means complicated stuff, right? Like de-treating and debating all these tiny little details. But rich, well, being rich is actually much, much simpler. And yeah, maybe even a little boring. And trust me, that is fantastic news for all of us.
All right, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to talk about the biggest trap we all fall into, focusing on the wrong things. Then we'll get into this powerful mindset called the 85% solution. After that, we'll build an effortless, automated system for your money, learn how to spend with actual joy, and finally, figure out what a rich life even means to you personally. Okay, first up, let's talk about the biggest hurdle in personal finance. And it's probably not what you think. It's not about how much you earn. It's about where you put your attention, your focus. So many of us get stuck just spinning our wheels on things that, in the grand scheme of things, just don't matter that much. The author of this material tells this brilliant story. He was at a party, right? And he's standing with a group of people who were all overweight. And he just starts listening to them talk about how to get healthy. So one person is totally insisting that the real key is just eating more protein. Another one is, proudly showing off his step counter on his watch. And then a third person starts this really heated debate about the metabolic benefits of grapefruit juice versus celery juice. And they were all so passionate about it, so engaged. But here's the thing. They were missing the point completely. They were all debating these tiny 1% details, the minutia, while totally ignoring the two giant things that actually lead to weight loss. Eat less and exercise more. That's it. That's the whole game, unless you're like an elite athlete. And this is a perfect illustration of our relationship with money. We obsess over the financial version of celery juice. We feel super productive arguing about a tiny 0.1% difference in a savings account interest rate or feeling guilty about buying a latte. But those are not the game changers. The big wins, the things that will truly move the needle for you, are things like automating your investments, negotiating a 15% raise at work, or just aggressively paying off that credit card debt that has like a 20% interest rate. If you get these things right, you can buy all the lattes you want. Seriously. So, okay, if we're gonna stop focusing on all that small stuff, how do we actually tackle the big wins without feeling totally overwhelmed? Well, the answer comes down to this core mindset shift, something called the 85% solution. This is so crucial. Way too many people suffer from what's called analysis paralysis. They think they have to find the absolute perfect investment or the perfect savings account before they do anything. But that search for perfection, it just leads to doing nothing at all. The 85% solution says, hey, just get started. Acting now and being mostly right is infinitely better than doing nothing while you wait to become some kind of expert. And to see why starting early is literally everything, just check out this example. Okay, meet Smart Sally. She invests just $100 a month for only 10 years, from age 25 to 35, and then she stops. That's a total of $12,000 she put in. Now, on the other hand, we have Dumb Gan. He waits until he's 35, and then he invests that same $100 a month for 30 years, all the way until he's 65. So he invests $36,000. That's 3 times more than Sally. So, who do you think has more money at age 65? It's Sally, and it's not even close, by a long shot. Thanks to the absolute magic of compound growth, she ends up with about $80,000 more than Dan. The single most important factor isn't being an expert or investing huge amounts of money. It's starting early. Getting an 85% right and just beginning. That is the biggest one of all. Okay, so we know we need to focus on the big wins, and we know we just need to get started. But how do we do it consistently without having to rely on willpower, which, let's be honest, we all know fades? The answer is you build a system, a totally automated system. And here's what it looks like. It's so beautifully simple. Your salary comes into your checking account, then, before you even really see it, money is automatically sent to your investments, then it's sent to your savings goals, then all your bills get paid automatically, and here's the best part. Whatever is left over, that is your guilt-free spending money. It's yours to use on whatever you want, no excuses, no justification needed. And that leads us perfectly into what is maybe the most liberating part of this whole philosophy. See, this isn't about being cheap or frugal, no. It's about being intentional so you can finally spend money on the things you love without that nagging feeling of guilt in the back of your mind. This quote right here, this is everything. It's not about cutting back on everything across the board. It's about deciding what you truly value. Do you absolutely love to travel? Great, spend lavishly on that. But maybe you couldn't care less about having the latest phone or a fancy car. Well, then be ruthless in cutting your costs there. It's all about pointing your money toward what actually brings you joy. So here's a look at what that might look like in a sample plan. As you can see, your fixed costs, your essentials, take up about 50 to 60% of your pay. Then a solid 10% goes straight to investments, and another 5 to 10% for your savings goals. But look at this, the best part? That leaves a full 20 to 35% of your money designated for guilt-free spending. That's a huge chunk of your budget, and that's on purpose. And finally, this whole system, it's not really about the numbers on a spreadsheet. It's just a tool. It's a tool to help you build and then live your specific personal version of a rich life. But to do that, you first have to define what that even means. You know, a rich life is totally different for everyone. For one person, it might be traveling the world for 3 months every single year. For someone else, it could just be the simple freedom of ordering appetizers at a restaurant without even glancing at the price. It could be having the flexibility to pick up your kids from school every day, or being able to buy that expensive cashmere coat without a second thought, or maybe it's being able to help your parents with their retirement. It's deeply personal. So I'll leave you with this final thought. Money is just a tool. It's a tool you can use to design the life that you really want. The whole point of all of this, of automating your finances, of focusing on the big wins, is to stop worrying about all the little details and to start actually living. So take 10 minutes, think about it, and get really specific. What does your rich life look like?